you end up in hell, for example. So there's always the possibility that it's still off now.
Aim in the first place.
I don't know to figure out.
Well, then it seems kind of like this. So it seems like
if everybody, the story.
One possible interpretation. Well, not obviously. I'm
is
saying that we
he's
can't
good.
know because we can't talk to those authors.
So
and we also have a short time.
The core of what I'm arguing.
Finite in the infinite.
Central claim.
Infinite?
No, I said that we were finite. Do you have a problem with?
Pause there.
I'm not rejecting it. No more than I'm rejecting
do you believe
anything
in Lono?
that I don't know anything about.
Do you believe in Lono?
Do you
believe that he is a deity? That Lono
I'll
is
answer
a
that
being?
question once you. Then there's no point.
My question is quite simple.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's formulated accurately.
I think in order for your
answer
argument
that question.
of your
I didn't
claim,
say that. I said I didn't
Lono.
know who Lono. I didn't say anything about rejecting.
That's because I've asked you. You can.
They're concerned with
Okay.
the fact it's virtually definitional.
Foundational stories that go along.
Well,
with
that would mean more that they're spiritual.
Pause there.
But
What literal way?
the idea of God is
Do you
like
think that there's an yes, no, or that
know
there are
that
multiple competing truths? False. So you could
I
imagine
infer, right? I can infer. I can
from what principles?
by
Conscience.
foundational.
Define it any way you want. Right
and
and
wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
does that come from? Okay.
Is
How do
empathy
you?
constrained by reason? Yeah. Like,
Is there a mediator?
I see. This is kind of goes back to what I'm saying initially.
I'm
where,
not defining it. Elijah
Okay,
defined
so
it.
as Elijah defines
It's
God.
defined that way in Jonah too.
Okay, so as
Cardinal Newman also
got
defined it that
as,
way.
as I'm sure you know many people who defined it that way. Person.
I'm not trying to be impressive. I'm
okay.
just pointing out to you
Got
how
it.
God is defined in the Old
Okay.
Testament.
All right, and that goes back to my kind of opening
Then how do we
statement.
specify what we're arguing about?
Again, it goes back to my example of the
I'm
Mona Lisa.
defining God as conscience.
Of
No,
God.
I'm not. Testament.
Okay, so
Elijah, Jonah.
Sure. So whoever. So some.
It's not whoever.
Okay.
Elijah is one of the
Okay.
major
All right.
Old Testament
All right.
prophets.
All
Right?
right.
He's equal in stature to Moses.
Okay.
Right. So it's not arbitrary.
All right. So
They don't
right,
understand
but
what they're rejecting.
you're
You
being-
accept conscience as a guide, and conscience is one of the defining characteristics of God in the Old Testament.
I think you're being intellectually disingenuous because again,
I asked you if you
okay,
believe that conscience guided you.
You just asked me a question and then you stopped me from answering it. Belief.
Not
and
in
then
the
you're-
least. I don't understand
But
aesthetically disbelieve in.
it's irrelevant to not believe.
I
We're
don't
not
care
talking
about common parlance.
way that people
Which
tend to use
point?
these words. Polysemous
I didn't make
ideas
that
of
point.
God.
You did.
Well, I
made a
I
specific
characterized
point
it,
that God
right.
was associated with conscience.
I just feel like you.
Found in science. Actually,
No, within science.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. We have examples of parrots. I think
Except
it's
for the
parrots.
greedy chimps.
Except for the greedy chimps.
They want four graves.
They want 4 graves. And
So morality is intrinsic.
I think
So it precedes science.
that actually
right?
a better way to define it would be that, or
Into what? I'm not disagreeing.
Sure.
Why do they require that? As you just indicated,
doesn't
by
need to derive
pointing
from the
to
scientific process.
Well,
It's
hang
the
on,
fact that
hang on a sec.
we are social animals, and we need that to exist as a group.
I
right?
agree, but
Sure.
you pointed to
That's not how that
my
works.
point.
Science explains it. So
No, science doesn't explain morality.
social animals would need to be
Well, that's
altruistic.
a complicated question.
Is it? But we see it though.
More accurate.
Because we're social animals and we
Yeah,
need
but there's
to be.
more to it than that.
Is there?
And that structures our morality.
No, predict the future, or not,
Not
predict
really.
the future. And so
Hunting
actually,
animals. Look,
no. No, found the
I'm
kids.
not saying that animals can't.
No, but they can
Let's pause
perceive
here.
the future. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Voted out by the majority.
I think
No,
it
it
should
says
say
that in the story.
It says
Well,
it's
that's
immoral.
why Moses.
Isn't that
well,
immoral? Wouldn't you
so
say that-
slavery itself to go to war on
And
slavery.
wouldn't you say that this is a
No,
Christianity?
I think it's the
'cause
flowering of the ideas.
cultural evolution
What do you
of
mean
morality.
by just?
Well, humans.
Editing.
Well,
Yeah.
based on better.
Oh, they
and-
did do it.
Based on
Everyone
the Bible. Based on the
that's-
Bible, they
that's
looked
much
at it and
less
they
true.
justified slavery.
Yeah, but
based
the main
on the
thrust,
Bible.
the main stringently
Yes.
against slavery,
Which-
and it was anti-slavery
which,
direction.
Which was driven by human and their
that's
understanding
one
of
way of
morality.
looking at it. Depends
It's the same with women's suffrage. Patriarchy.
What do you mean it was driven? Humans
Humans.
drove slavery too.
Yes, exactly.
So
we
there's no argument.
evolving
There's a
morality
specific.
based on they live.
Okay, fine.
So with
I think
women's
that
suffrage
did
as well
happen.
as a disregard
Where do you
women.
think the idea that slavery?
So did the
that's
idea of God, driven on our experiences
defined
as
higher.
humans for all people.
Is it driven by?
And I think that's
What's
something
the
that
evidence?
does evolve.
There's lots
and
of
just like homosexuality,
all
if
human societies were slave owning.
decided
Oh wait, address that first.
What, about
all
slavery?
Christians
based
in
on
the
their
UK,
interpretation of the Bible, which
Christians
evolves over time.
That's a good way of thinking about
What
it.
is the purpose of heaven? Do you understand? So here's the deal.
At
We
minimum,
can
minimum,
get
it's
into
the
an
opposite
infinite
of endless suffering.
earth
You mean
without
avoiding-
God,
you mean avoiding
avoiding it. If we can do that,
We engage in a moral exercise.
and when you're talking, there is a God. There
it's
is
more specific than that. If you
if it's
define
go-
your benefit.
if it's going to come at your expense. expense, would you still
Define
follow
your
it?
expense.
If God came,
Because they
okay,
were required. Hang on, I'm answering your
I'm
question.
so
no,
when you,
not, well,
yes,
let's
they
define.
did. Yes,
hang
they
on,
did.
hang on.
If-
Let's
if-
define benefit.
So
what do you mean by you?
when you're talking about provides morality,
It's not a justification, it's a definition.
ultimately
No, I said-
psychologically the same.
Or we can just debate.
Okay, well,
right?
so
And
here's my
I
position.
said that God, among other things,
I'm actually a person.
define moral. Okay, and how do you
And
come
what
to
I
that
ought to
conclusion?
do, ultimately, purpose.
How does my
I
definition
reject
of
that.
morality pathetically
because
differ from
because
yours?
because your reality.
Is there a
and
hierarchical
that is what the
structure?
quantum
Is there a hierarchy?
than others.
Okay,
what
let's
is
pause there.
So I guess
how is that relevant?
your notion of God is
What typical?
they believe in an
How
all-knowing.
about Cardinal Newman? What do you mean
How
when
is
you
that
say
circular?
you believe? If
What's
you
a
believe
belief?
something,
Is
not
that
really, no.
Okay. So then,
How would you define belief? Something you say?
Can I explain like too? You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't
life.
be so sure.
Could save someone's
Yeah,
life.
and if you're,
And you're trying
I
to
know
protect
the
them,
example.
would you? If
I
they're
would have done
asking-
everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation
Would you
to
lie?
begin with. And it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
Hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today? Did you eat
Don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just
Yes,
asking if you
you
ate
are.
it.
Told you.
Hypothetical.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic
that line of.
because you
I
don't
did
like. Are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable? Could ask
It's
you.
just a basic
yeah,
hypothetical
Like
where you're
like
you
if you
put basic
yeah, obviously you
hypothetical.
would lie in that scenario to save their life. Trying to answer
What's-
this question
what's
for
all-
some reason, like so you're
Why are
anti-fascist.
you asking that?
Clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in a
Obviously, that's
manner
not what
you
truth
don't-
is. Obviously, because I care about
you're-
truth. Because that's
No,
already happened.
I can
Christianity, with that
imagine
respect,
that I was
so
not
clearly that's not
without
what
the
you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to
I
die for it.
said
You were not willing
to back me into a
How is
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it?
Right.
So whatever.
You call it top or bottom, I
Yeah,
suppose.
right.
Is
That's
that
right.
correct?
Yes.
Right, but at the
Or
bottom
top.
is God, and there
That's
are...
a definition. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying...
So they're not all equal. And again.
So
well, then-
repetition.
So
Right.
it's invitational.
Another descriptive, or some type of...
Harmony.
Harmony,
Yeah,
right?
that's better. Not
Based-
happiness precisely.
Regardless of any system, right?
Well, imagine that you set up a system.
Right.
Okay,
so we're talking about
okay.
within a system, though. Figure out how
There's an element of that that's true.
can be good.
I don't know what you mean by stance independent.
so
you
I
mean
mean-
independent of people?
This is why-
That's why the religious goal,
So-
or the goal would be the
But
imitation of Christ.
someone's goal, right?
No, the
can that be
thing
true?
that they want to be
Oh,
incongruent.
right, okay.
Hang
It
on
is
a-
God.
That's right. That's
Sorry,
right. That's
sorry,
right.
I
That's
corrected
good. That's
myself.
great. Equivalent to their God.
So what makes someone figure out? Because
That's a good question.
yes.
Yeah, well,
Thank you. That they're even saying that they believe in God, but they
I
just,
know, but that's why I'm saying this to you.
kind of justified as
I
the truth.
don't think that, and
Right.
navigate is the right
So
term.
someone does not are in line with this
So the
self-sacrificial.
Christian, yeah, the Christian thinkers,
Right.
they're
so is that
addressing
person
the
Christian
same-
though? Is that person
Well,
Christian? Right.
Right.
So
then they'd be 8/12 Christian or something like
8/12
that.
Christian.
Well,
but to be like a
I hesitate. The technical.
But belief is not necessarily.
How you act
how you say
and what you imagine and what you say.
But I don't see
Why in boxes?
people as Christian.
Well, I would say more or less.
But that's also simply just acting in that
yeah,
way.
Richard Dawkins, highest.
But you would
place.
put it that way. Now you're taking it back.
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary
below.
is quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. Attend to. Do
Prioritize.
do
And
Catholics
sacrifice for.
Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say. Didn't
Well,
add that to my
you
definition.
you understand-
I said there was a hierarchy as
You,
well.
you attend to
So you can
Catholic.
attend to something trivially.
Okay, now you're adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition.
added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
Are you
just
familiar?
didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with? Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard? How do they regard Mary?
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either
it,
you're a
'cause
Christian
I won't
or you're
talk to
not.
you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're.
to tell
could be.
you.
You don't have to. I was under the impression.
private.
I was invited. Right, you're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Do I worship
I don't know.
my
I've
wife?
seen some pretty bad marriages.
Assuming a good marriage, prioritize and sacrifice. I do
the
those
higher
things.
it is in the hierarchy.
So I am
And it's
prioritizing.
partly, well, you do value your
Yes,
wife.
I love
okay.
her, so I
Right.
prioritize and I
Okay.
sacrifice for her.
Right. I'm
Are you
trying to
making
make
that
a
claim?
definition.
Because it sounds like you're saying
It's
worship is
shades.
almost, it's not a
It's kind of
quantum.
like, that's a good
So
question.
when
It's
is-
like,
when is-
it's not possible that you don't worship anything.
What do I worship? I
See,
do-
I'm trying to define something. I told you what I
So
meant.
I
What do
mean-
you mean?
So, like, you
So do you
presumably
have
worship
that
God.
attitude towards your wife?
I have that
Do you
attitude.
privilege her to?
Nor does she worship me.
By the definition.
I will prioritize her over
See,
any
you're
other
making
human, but I
the
don't
assumption.
think that she is some
You're making
supernatural
the
being.
assumption that
So let's say
you're
I'm
either going in many. Closer you get to the pinnacle, or the
How
closer
close?
you get.
Can you give me some sort of metric? How close do I got to get to this pinnacle? Right?
Is it? So it's just an opinion that
plenty of
Dostoevsky is better than a porno magazine.
people will differ on
Well,
opinions.
just because people are stupid.
That's certainly
Do you-
true.
well,
I do
let
agree
me
with
ask
it. I
you-
agree with that.
okay.
F. Scott Fitzgerald
Why do
better
you
than
think
Ernest
that?
Hemingway. I don't know. Follows what literature is the purpose. it
Okay,
does.
good. Well,
So it's about purpose
So
and
let me.
definition. So to
And
use
maybe you
your
don't know what's at the bottom.
Or
it depends on what. It
is
depends on
Twilight
what you're
enough?
seeking for.
And
Now,
I
if
wanna
you want to
know
have a
what-
deep,
and if I
there's
worship
no
multiple-
difference between those two things. That's true. And then you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there
how
are.
do you
okay?
explain that there are happy nihilists then? Because
Well,
you just said they
the
can't
mere
be.
fact that you,
Or
of course
devoted
there are.
believers.
I really don't think so. I think
Yeah,
that
no,
if
you
when we're talking
How
about
do you deal with
God,
the morality of war?
So-
how do you think you should deal with the morality of war? Playing with
Well,
that
I just think
question.
that it's an absurdity.
I
God
didn't
isn't
say
like
that.
Christian
I
ethical.
said that faulty.
Sure.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Sure, then let's go through
Thank
the
you.
example. Is that in line
That's a
with
good
Christian
question.
ethics?
That's a good question.
I totally agree. Yeah, but this
and-
one was commanded by God. That's the problem.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what differentiates it. God
Do you
saying,
think that
go
there's
and do
ever
this
such a thing?
atrocity.
Do you ever? Fair
yeah,
enough.
but
I
this
mean,
one
people,
certainly wasn't a just war. In your theology,
Well, what do you think of that? Wait a sec. Now redress
So
what I
yeah,
just
yeah.
said.
So I'm about to address it, but I'm addressing it with a question.
You'll have to provide more.
Sure, just like maximally great and all, like the
think
great
it's a
making
definition.
qualities.
Sure.
Yeah,
By
like
definition.
flawless. Yeah. So
Okay, so
does a
wait a
flawless
sec,
thing
wait a
change?
sec.
Does a flawless thing? Wait,
Tell
so
the
does,
truth.
that's totally fine, but
No,
presumably
no. You don't get to
That's
skate over
because
that,
this is a
which
straw man.
that's totally fine.
It's a straw man of my position. So
In what
the
way?
argument
No,
is
wait,
that God,
wait a sec. You
Well, I'm
said
already waiting a sec.
find one cross situations,
I didn't
and
say
I
any
just
of
did.
those words. I'm not sure what
Okay,
conversation
rephrase.
you're a part of.
Don't be a smartass. So that because I must have missed it. I
So,
tried to answer it.
Maximally moral.
Does our understanding of the perfect being change?
But
okay, how
presumably
do we
what the
distinct?
perfect being
How do
is
we distinct?
revealing.
Well, I agree.
How do
so
we distinguish between whether
between our we can only. Yeah, well, we can only
presumably
see
a
through our
perfect
own
being-
lenses.
I don't know how a God who's outside of
How
time
does
is
something-
revealing different things. Sure.
Okay,
but
now
what
do you
I-
wait a sec?
So in
Like,
this
for
case-
example, are you
well, yeah,
perfect in
blame this-
attending to your con-
maybe we'll understand
maintain
like
free will?
thousands of years because
Wait
if
a sec. Wait, let's
well,
not go
wait,
to that
because
yet.
you threw free will into the mix.
Well, that was the answer to your question.
Yeah, and
you
I'm
said,
saying
why
that that's
wouldn't God?
incoherent. It's
1,000
contradictory.
years of deep agree with you, but have
and
it your
a
way.
1,000 years of
Have it your way.
okay, cool.
I don't.
So then the
I
free will
don't.
theodicy fails.
Proved it. I mean,
Do you want to
tried
respond
to
to
make.
the argument? That world inevitable with
Okay.
his infallible knowledge.
I don't understand where you're headed.
And under
like
your
I said,
view-
if
under
you want
your
to
view,
have it
free
fail,
will-
no problem. I don't know why it's.
Do you acknowledge that under your world instead of that
inevitable
world,
doesn't mean determined?
that world
doesn't
causally,
make it determined.
causally inevitable means determined?
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely, yes, it does.
Well, have it your way.
okay.
That's not the case.
Definition of what Christian
Yeah, but it'll
morality
come
is.
in handy at some point.
Theologies
Well, you asked for a truncated answer.
from them. Maybe
That's a good start. It's
correct.
not understanding.
But have
what
you
they're
taken
projecting.
inspiration from like very closely
Yeah,
tied
well,
connections too?
Well, I don't think Christianity.
So if
right?
I'm
Because-
living those values, else
well,
that you
one
brought
of
up,
one of
Pause there. You've been voted out by
that was good.
Can I ask you
How
a
about
question?
you know that you put yourself there? Sin as
Like
a part.
the
It's missing
concept
the.
of sin?
Okay, your life will be pointless.
And what
People
if
will
I,
turn
like,
against you.
don't believe in sin finite and that the
Well,
idea
that's a Christian belief.
of I don't believe
No, that's
in
also
it
a
because
Christian belief, by the way.
No, I don't believe in that. Like I think
Well, okay, let me.
that when you
okay,
can I
that's
explain
good.
a little bit?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I can't
There are
say
no
any-
factors
I can't
of the
say
earth
anything
that have
about
to.
what happens after death.
Right. Maybe sometimes I would say
Okay.
that there was a part that I played
well,
in
that's-
that.
okay,
but I
that's
also
the thing
do
to
think
find
that
out.
I'm not too sure why you would still be
When you-
reaping the
okay, do you
consequences
believe-
of that.
right.
How that's in keeping with
Well,
Christian doctrine.
you believe
if you would go to hell for
okay,
those things.
You can. Yes, sounds
So
like
I think
it.
that my opinion foundations
Well,
of
let
Christianity.
me give you an
Yeah.
example.
Plausible because in
It's an
regards to
open question.
yeah, right, plethora.
That's certainly
of-
the case.
of, you
That's
know,
why the medieval
do
protect you from fear might.
right. Is this
okay, that's
evidence
great.
certain? Right. The things
Many
that-
ways.
If we interpret
Sometimes poetry, sometimes history,
Well,
sometimes fact,
but for
sometimes
example,
metaphor.
so that's why I'm what
Yeah,
my
I don't concern myself. See, I don't.
topic,
I guess
but
the problem is
we can't do
why,
that.
Why is
That can
what
again-
evidence would you? Well, here's an answer.
Pause there. I'm sorry.